Welcome back to MidDay Bell, where we spotlight some of the most compelling stories in the mining, energy, and the broader commodity space. Today, we're diving into the silver market, where prices are surging and investor interest is heating up. Joining us is Andrew Pollard, CEO of Blackrock Silver, a Nevada-based explorer and developer whose Tonopah West project is one of the most exciting high-grade silver stories in the Americas. As the silver price breaches $50, BlackRock is positioning itself as a potential game changer in the U.S. Domestic production, with a project that could add up to 15% more silver output nationally. We'll talk about silver's new status as a U.S. critical mineral and the company's fast track progress and the catalyst ahead. BlackRock Silver trades on the TSX Venture Exchange under the symbol BRC, on the OTCQX as BKRRF, and on the Frankfurt Exchange as AHZ0. Let's jump in. Thank you, Andrew, for being here with me today. It's so nice to have you.
Thanks very much. Good to be here.
So, I want to start with the big picture. Silver is pushing $50. How is this price action reshaping the sector, and what do you think that means for the company like BlackRock Silver?
Yeah, well, as of this morning, it's at $53, which I mean is right up there against its all-time high, which I think it hit earlier this month. Silver's been the best performing, I guess, investment of the year, and still no one's talking about it from a general perspective. If you look at just year-to-date returns, it's up over 80%, surpasses gold, surpasses Bitcoin, trounces the S&P. And yet, if you look at just the general media out there, it still hasn't really come into focus. The whole dynamic of silver's, completely upended itself over, I guess, the last decade or so. I mean, silver's always been thought as a monetary metal, right alongside gold. It's been used going back thousands of years as history as a form of currency. It's referred to as poor man's gold. But where it's really emerged and where the, I guess, deficit has really taken root is the fact that it's now 65% consumed on the industrial side. Everyone knows that silver is one of the main core components of solar panels, but it's the same. It's the same characteristic that makes it so useful in solar panels. It also makes it so useful in every single physical electronic application there is, from your phone to the whole AI data center revolution, which is really starting to take root, especially in America, to EVs. There's even been that Samsung solid state battery breakthrough that's poised to hit the market pretty soon, which is going to be using silver as one of the core inputs, which is going to, go from using, maybe 30 or 40 grams per car, which a typical EV might, to using a kilogram per car. And, you can get range of 600 miles on a 9-minute charge. So the use cases for silver keep expanding and expanding. At the same time that gold is now running hot as well. I mean, gold's every day pushing a new all-time high. But what's really interesting is silver right now is performing exactly as it always has in every early innings of every, precious metals bull market. What happens is it tends to lag gold. Gold tends to start to run first, and then silver quietly starts to play catch up and then overshoot. One way to track that would be the gold silver ratio. Back in April, the it took over 100 ounces of silver to buy 1 ounce of gold. As of today, it takes 78 ounces of silver to buy 1 ounce of gold. Gold's been moving up this whole time, but silver has just been moving up faster and faster. And, we're at a point now where sure, silver's at, I guess, its nominal all-time highs. In 1980, it got up to around $50. Back in 2011, it got up to $50. But if you factor in inflation, it's nowhere near what it should be. $50 in 1980 is about $190 today with inflation baked in. That same $50 in 2011 is now $75 in real dollars. And yet silver today is $53, meaning it's still got one heck of a long way to go. And, it's only a matter of time until the I guess the population at large really starts to get excited again because this has been a quiet bull march so far.
And you mentioned deficit. I want to touch on that a little bit more. There are very few true silver development projects out there. How rare is the space, and where does BlackRock fit into all that?
There's very, very few. 70 to 80% of all silver produced comes from as a byproduct of other typically polymetallic mines. So they might be large lead and zinc operations with a silver credit, or they might even be really, really large gold projects, but with a very, very small ratio of silver. In terms of silver primary deposits, I mean, you're not looking at that many globally. About 20 to 30% of silver produced comes from silver primary deposits. And where that gets exciting as a silver company is, these big polymetallic deposits, these big lead and zinc operations, they don't have the same sort of trading pattern that silver and gold do. So if silver runs, but it's only, say, 15% of their economics, it's not like they can turn the taps on and really expedite things or really scale up production to try and reap the upside on the silver prices. They're really tied to base metals typically. So, what I know is, of all the silver developers out there right now in the world, BlackRock, which I'm CEO of, I think is one of only two out there that's pure play precious metals only silver primary deposits. So, we're poised to reap a lot of benefits as the upside keeps unfolding.
Now, that scarcity should create like a huge opportunity for a company like yours. You said that your project could actually increase US silver production by up to 15%. Quote me if I'm wrong, in a year. How important is that in today's geopolitical and resource landscape?
Oh yeah, well, we're the only, something very interesting just happened. It was either a week or two ago where the Trump administration actually, for the first time ever, got silver added to the critical minerals list. These are minerals that the administration has deemed as of national importance to get their own domestic sources and supplies of because silver serves a very unique role in so many different industrial applications that are needed. So they want to make sure that they've got the supply there. And globally, I mean, 850 million ounces of silver are produced each year, which sounds like a lot, but when you look at the consumption, last year 1.2 billion ounces were consumed. So there's a bit of a disparity there, which sort of points to the recent price action in silver, but it also points to scarcity. So the fact that the administration is really looking to get behind developers, especially us, and in the continental US, there is no other silver story that I'm aware of that's going to be in a position to break ground. I mean, we're going to be the next continental American project to break ground and start development of with an aim to bringing our ounces online. And America right now only produces 32 million ounces of silver each year. They import most of the of what they use for their industrial base and also for their precious metals collectors as well. So, our project, based off our 2024 PEA, outlined that we'd be producing between 4 and 6 million ounces of just pure silver every year. So 6 million ounces added to 32, which is their what they're producing right now. Yeah, that this is a big deal for America. This is going to jog domestic production by 15% on our good years, and on the low end maybe 12%. And that's just the silver production. Our pesky byproduct for a project which is called Tonopah West in Nevada is gold, and that is going to be producing between 55 and 70,000 ounces based off of the last PEA.
Now, you mentioned that the US has added silver to its critical minerals list. What kind of doors does that open when it comes to like maybe faster permitting or federal support? Is there any what are specific benefits that maybe the company?
There's countless. Listen, mining's a tough enough business as it is. Most every other country makes it even harder. What the administration has done down there is showing that not only are they going to uh, for us, expediting permits was never really an issue because we have a unique advantage, which is we're on private land, meaning the amount of agencies that we have to seek approvals from is really, really shrunken down to begin with. But what it means is that by them saying that this is of national security, national importance, every agency that we do need to seek approvals from has gotten the memo. In addition, because it's a critical mineral status now. It opens the door to significant tax credits. It opens the door to significant help with respect to potentially financing the capex of this. I mean, you can see the financial involvement that they're doing across a few different avenues. A company called Trilogy Metals, sorry, in Alaska got the Department of War to invest, to do a 10% equity stake in the company. Um, and on the news of that, their stock went up over 100%. That's a good financing from my perspective. So they're taking equity positions in companies just like ours, but they're also offering through their export-import bank very, very good terms, very, very good letters of interest when it comes to credit to help fund development as well. So, you've seen companies like Ivanhoe Electric, which is Robert Friedland's, pursue letters of intent. You've seen Titan Minerals, which is one of Richard Wark's companies, move forward with letters of intent. You're seeing these all across the industry, from gold projects to graphite to polymetallics. The only one that you haven't seen news on yet is a silver company, and as I said, we're literally the only silver, I guess, near-term developer out there. So we think the administration is going to be helpful in many ways, not just from permitting, not just from not having files ending up gathering dust on various regulators' desks, but actually getting processed, but also in terms of funding. So yeah, the door's wide open.
And furthermore, on the funding aspect, Tonopah West boasts standout grades and low projected costs. Like, how does that help you attract capital and manage your risk and stand out amongst the peers?
Well, yeah, Tonopah is the highest grade story amongst any developer globally right now in the silver space. We're looking at grades over a half kilogram silver per ton silver equivalent, which, in mining, grade is king, grade is margin. We also have some of the best metallurgy because there's no base metals in what we're drilling. That means that processing it is very quick and very cheap. So not only is it higher grade, but it's lower processing costs, which lends itself to very low all-in sustaining costs. Our PEA from last year, and keep in mind all the numbers I'm throwing out are about to change pretty wildly, I think, because we've done a lot of work over the last, say, 14 months or so, and we're going to wrap everything we've done since into a brand new resource update and into a brand new economic study in February of next year. So, but that last PEA showed that we'd be producing, roughly 8.6 million silver equivalent ounces annually at all-in costs of under $12 an ounce. So, today silver's trading at $53 an ounce. I mean, back of the napkin, you're looking at hundreds upon hundreds of millions of dollars in free cash flow. By the time, we ultimately, think we can break ground on this in 2027 and get to the point where we can actually start mining this thing. Who knows where silver and gold will be, but the chart looks pretty good. So, in terms of investor appeal, yeah, this is the sort of project that I think any silver company in the world and any gold company for that matter would want, given the grades, given the jurisdiction, and given our ability to get this thing permitted very quickly. So, right now, our focus for the next 12 months or so is to de-risk it, grow it, wrap new economics, mine plan around it, and get this thing as far advanced as permitting as we can so that, anyone looking at us knows that we're not going to be sitting around in permitting purgatory for the next few years. We're going to be building teams and looking to get big yellow trucks at the project come 2027.
Now, you've been with the company a long time. I mean, since obviously its inception, since you consolidated all the private claims into one project. And you've moved from discovery to economic study in just a few years. What's really driving that speed, and what does it say about the asset in general, and as well as your team?
Yeah, well, that's actually a really good question. When we picked up Tonopah in April of 2020, it was right during the COVID shutdown. Silver had completely sold off from, I think it was $20 in February of that year to $12 when we actually got the project as our own. And it was hard to raise money back then. No one had ever stuck a drill hole into this, but the targets were as appetizing as anything I think I'll ever see again in my career. And we had to piece together a small financing. I think the plan was to drill 12 holes, and you hope that one sort of hits in a way that you can justify, getting the rigs back at some point. Well, we hit on our first drill hole. We hit 30 meters of a kilogram per ton silver equivalent. And, I think that same week added about $100 million to our market cap, and got a call from Eric Sprott the next day who wrote us a $5 million check. So that initial 12-hole program ended up leading to, I think, 3 years straight on the drill rigs. I think we drilled something like 125,000 meters without stopping, other than for the holidays, each and every year. So, they say life happens when you're planning other things. When you get a discovery like this, you don't sit on it. You move it forward and ride it as hard as you can. Because right now, I look at how other producers are trading with assets with a similar production profile and even higher mining costs, and they've all got not a million next to their market capitalization, but they're all trading in the billions of dollars of ranges. So if I can march this forward and get it de-risked, get it permitted, break ground, and ultimately realize the path that last PEA had, and hopefully even something more robust, which our future PEA should unveil, then this is one of those unicorns.
A unicorn indeed, and that's why you kind of touched on earlier, and I want to dive into a bit more how you're going to be creating a new resource estimate. What are some of the key milestones and investors should be watching over the next 12 to 18 months?
Yeah, well, we've done a lot of drilling since our last PEA, and just back in September of this year, we put out the first of what I call a double header of resources. The first resource in September was focused on converting the early years of our mine plan from inferred ounces to the indicated category, which simply means, do your ounces, can they hold up to scrutiny? You need to bring a lot tighter drill spacing to show the market that your plan is bulletproof, and to show that everything hangs together the way you think it should. And so that first resource that we put out in September was quite monumental for us, because it showed that we can convert um, pretty much exactly 100% of what we set out to. We told the market our goal for that was to convert 1 million to 1.5 million tons of inferred resources into the indicated category. And I think we ended up converting 1.33 million tons, which, as I said, that was focused on, the first 2.5 to 3 years of production based off that mine plan. So what we've done is we've effectively already de-risked the entire decision to ultimately break ground and start towards development. The other aspect, the second part of the doubleheader, which is going to be coming down the pipe in February, and rolled into this new PEA, is focused on, well, we've improved the confidence of our ounces. Now we want to add more ounces. That mine plan, that PEA from last year, it showed 8.6 million silver equivalent ounces a year production over an 8-year mine life. Our goal is to obviously add more ounces, but really add more mine life. So, in February, it's our goal to show a mine life that's going to be at least 10 years or more. And that's going to be a long life asset. And we've even got some geophysical programs underway right now that are testing for helping to refine even more blue sky targets, potentially years 12 to 20, following a long strike to the northwest. So, yeah, there's certainly a lot more upside to come. This next study is going to be quite consequential for us, because, the mine plan that's laid out in this is effectively going to be the mine plan that we hand over to regulators to seek our permits to ultimately break ground and start our exploration decline in 2027, and ultimately start test mining. So, this is our last sort of bite at the apple to optimize it, to make it look as good as we possibly can, increase the mine life. We've already got the confidence there. And we think, we're going to be standing out in the spotlight right as I think the general population is going to start to be giving a damn about the silver space. And, certainly being the only real American development story now out there, I think we're going to be one to watch, especially as we advance on our permitting initiatives next year.
And to furthermore on the announcing more permitting initiatives next year, which is obviously a very big concern in mining. And I don't want to overlook the fact that this is a privately held land package. So, can we talk about how that helps manage the process and keeping momentum through this development phase?
Yeah, well, it's a the nice thing about having patented claims or private land is that it's a very prescribed process. Really, the hard yards for the permitting isn't it getting the actual permits approved. It's in doing all the background work you need for the various baseline studies that you ultimately hand over that data to the regulators, along with, I guess, your engineering plans for the final, I guess, exploitation permits. Most of those baseline studies, whether it's the air quality or air quality control permit or the water pollution control permit or um, I guess waste rock characterizations. A lot of those really just involve defined timelines where you start monitoring, and then there, certain things have, for the water, you might need a year's worth of data collection. For the air, it might be much shorter. For the waste rock characterization and acid generation tests, it's all different. But on every single aspect of those permits that we're seeking, the countdown clock on all of that data collection has already begun. So, while we're optimizing our mine plan, while we're still focused on adding ounces, we are pursuing that dual track towards de-risking all of those permitting initiatives. So by the time we're ready, we'll be in a position to wrap everything up in a pretty bow and then just wait for the county and the state. And then from there, we're going to be the last time anyone looked at these veins, these gold and silver veins in Tonopah would have been in the 1930s. And, it's very exciting to be the one to um, really reawaken this famous American mining camp. But it'll be really exciting for us to actually get a look at these veins for the first time in over 90 years.
And you mentioned mine life several times. Do you see BlackRock becoming a producer, or do you want to strike a strategic deal? What's kind of your vision in the next few years?
Well, right now, I think the winds that are back, and this isn't a particularly, um, uh, well, every project's challenging, but the next, say, 12 to 18 months are laid out. The yellow brick road is in front of us in terms of de-risking, getting permitted. Ultimately, when you break ground on this, it would be a contractor that's going to do the initial decline, and they bring a lot of their workforce with them. Obviously, as we advance down that path, we'd be looking to bring on and add to our skill sets internally. And it's something that I think, with the support of the U.S. government specifically, we're going to get a lot of help in potentially financing the capex. So it's less of a, I it's I think going to be a little more straightforward than a lot of other companies are having to face in our similar position. The robustness of the deposit, the grade of the deposit, the economics. I mean, hell, even the jobs are going to be creating, just during construction, upwards of 400 people, high-paying jobs for Nevada. We're acting as if we're driving this forward. We've got various milestones, each of which we're all working on advancing along the way. But I think, we're going to also be looking pretty attractive next year, especially if we can get our permits on there. And I think that this is something that every silver company in the world's going to want. It's got the production profile that mirrors a lot of other single asset companies that have been taken out for substantial premiums. And none of those were actually in the continental US. So, yeah, I think we'll be attractive, but I think we're looking at substantial re-rates along the way. And I think this is something that, if we can drive it to production ourselves, as I said, there's no reason why it wouldn't be one of those unicorns.
It sounds like this is such an exciting story. It's really at a pivotal point, being at the position you're at, along with the price of silver reaching record highs. It's just such an exciting time to be an investor or to be looking at investing and just to be watching this company as a whole. So I just want to say thank you so much, Andrew, for joining us and walking through the Blackrock Silver story, one that's tightly tied to the future of U.S. silver production and the surging critical minerals narrative. So again, thank you so much in sharing the story.
Thank you very much. And as they say, we've got more assays pending. So, yeah, I think we're going to close out the year strong, and then we're definitely going to start 2026 with what looks to be, either our biggest catalyst of next year or one of the biggest catalysts with our new resource and PEA. So, yeah, follow us, and yeah, look forward to a good start to 2026.
If you're looking for high grade leverage to silver in the US jurisdiction, this is one company to watch. Blackrock Silver is listed on the TSXV under BRC, the OTCQX under BKRRF, and the Frankfurt Exchange under A8ZO. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and check out more conversations like this on the MidDay Bell. Thanks for watching. See you next time.